CEO overhears Janitor speak. 9 languages. His next move. Shocks everyone. Seattle in a soft drizzle. The Everline logistics lobby gleams like a cracked mirror. Amid the quick click of heels, a 52-year-old janitor switches languages like turning a radio dial. Mandarin to guide a lost visitor, Spanish for a delivery driver, French for a supplier, smooth, confident, nearly native. CEO John Griffin stops mid-thought. From that moment, doors begin to swing open. Her precise Portuguese rescued an urgent meeting in Rio. A tense deal in Tunisia eases with a respectful Arabic greeting. Soon, a new nameplate shines. Emily Monroe, Cultural Liaison. Inside the Monroe Room, long-ignored voices wake through the Hidden Voices program. Why would someone fluent in 9 languages spend 13 years under a uniform? What pushed an entire company to change? John's working-class drive, or a hard truth exposed by an old rejection letter signed by Eleanor Bishop? This isn't just a promotion story. It's a wake-up call about consequences. When you sow respect, you earn trust. Look closer, and the real gold is often already within us. It's a journey against bias, a bid to reclaim dignity, and a reminder that kindness can pivot an entire system. Stay with us to discover how. An autumn morning in Seattle. A drizzle still hangs in the air. Dim light filters through the vast glass panes at Everline Logistics, turning the main lobby into a space both cold and luxurious. Heels click on damp marble. Coffee cups clink. The tap of phone keyboards echoes like a messy overture to a new workday. John Griffin, Everline's CEO, steps up from the underground garage into the lobby. The shoulders of his charcoal suit are a little wet, but he doesn't care. His mind is already buried in the meetings and spreadsheets waiting on the 30th floor until one sound makes him stop. It isn't English, and it isn't the receptionist's familiar voice. It's Mandarin, clear, precise, and confident, rising from the center of the lobby. John lifts his head, eyes scanning for the source. He once lived in Shanghai, long enough to hear that the speaker isn't just fluent. She's nuanced, almost native. Seconds later, he sees her, a woman in a burgundy janitor's uniform standing beside the digital directory. Short, curly hair tied neatly, a straight posture without a hint of arrogance. Next to her, an older man in a dark blue coat looks confused and relieved at the same time. She speaks and points the way. He nods his thanks and heads to the elevators. John realizes he's seen her in late-night hallways. Always quiet, always polite, never starting a conversation. Before he can move toward her, another scene stops him again. A delivery worker walks in, cradling a clipboard. She turns and chats with him in Spanish. He smiles, says, "Gracias," and leaves. A nearby supplier raises a box with the wrong label. Without a pause, she switches to French and explains with a firm, warm tone. It all moves smoothly, as naturally as changing a radio station. John feels his heartbeat quicken. With 2 decades of experience in global logistics, he has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on language training, hired interpreters, and pushed Everline into new markets. But never, not once, has he met someone with this range of languages right inside his building. And she works the night shift. He steps closer, his voice warm but edged with curiosity. "Excuse me, was that Mandarin?" She turns, a little surprised but calm. "Yes, sir." "You're very fluent. And Spanish and French too?" She nods, then adds gently, "I also speak Portuguese, German, Arabic, Italian, and Swahili, and I can read Latin, though I rarely use it." John takes a beat to process the number. 9 languages, no bragging, no pride on display, just a simple, solid fact. He asks her name. Emily Monroe. It's a name he's never seen on any senior roster, yet it's suddenly etched in his mind. John pauses, then speaks slowly. Do you have a few minutes? I'd like to invite you to my office. She frowns slightly, as if the offer just came from another world. After a brief hesitation, she nods. They step into the elevator. Only the low hum of the motor breaks the silence. Emily speaks first. I've worked here for 13 years. I never thought I'd be invited to the executive floor. John smiles. Some changes come fast. Faster than we expect. He doesn't know it yet, but those words will prove prophetic. They will mark the start of events that reshape her life and the way he sees people and talent. The doors open. Polished wood floors reflect warm light from the ceiling fixtures. The air carries a blend of citrus and leather, a quiet sign of luxury. Faces turn toward Emily, an unexpected sight. A janitor standing beside the CEO in Everline's power center. John leads her into a wide glass office. A world map covers an entire wall, each country pinned with a color. He gestures to a chair and leans forward. Honestly, I didn't expect this conversation today, but I need to understand. How does someone like you end up doing this job, here? Emily looks out the window for a second, gathering memories, then turns back. If you have time, I'll tell you the truth. Neither of them knows it yet, but this exact moment, when her story is about to open, will launch a journey with no way back. Emily draws a long breath, fingers loosely laced. Her eyes settle on John's face. It all began in a hospital room and a promise I never dared to forget. John tilts his head and doesn't interrupt. In the soft window light, his face reflects full attention. Emily speaks, her voice low and steady. I'm an only child from a working family outside Toledo, Ohio. My dad welded pipe. My mom worked the night shift as a nurse's aide. We weren't wealthy, but they treated school as the one thing you never lose. I believed that. She tells him about a full scholarship in linguistics at Kent State, days buried in the library, learning Portuguese from old cassette tapes, and translating short Arabic news clips with a thick, frayed dictionary. Everything was opening up. Then, disaster hit. Her mother was diagnosed with late-stage cancer. I packed my books and went home. I thought it was temporary, a few months, then back to class. But my dad had a stroke. 6 months later, he was gone. Emily's eyes flicker, but she doesn't look down. John feels the weight of every word. At that point, I had one choice. Take any job to pay the bills and care for my newborn daughter. Her father disappeared. I learned to stand 12 hours a day at a supermarket, clean rooms in a nursing home, and run a register on the night shift. Then Everline's facilities team reached out. Nights, cleaning the office floors. John tightens the notebook in his hand. In his mind, he sees this woman bending to change a trash bag while holding a linguist's library in her head. Emily goes on. I figured the night shift would let me take my girl to school and help with homework. But I didn't give up languages. I borrowed books from the public library, listened to foreign radio while I mopped the lobby, and translated print articles people left in the break room. Her voice drops to almost a whisper. People see a uniform and assume that's the whole story. They don't ask. I don't explain. Because if you have to prove you deserve to exist every single day, there isn't much strength left for living. John feels his lips press into a line. He knows he's been one of the people who assumed. Emily lifts her gaze, eyes catching the light. I made a promise to my mother, in that hospital room, that I wouldn't let the fire in my mind go out. I've kept it, day by day, word by word. Silence settles over the room. The HVAC hums softly. John sets down his pen and braces his hands on the desk. Emily, do you know what you just showed me? What is it, sir? That sometimes this company searches the world for talent and misses the gold right under its feet. He leans back and studies her a moment longer. An idea is already forming, one he knows could change Emily's path and Everline's direction. Emily frowns slightly. What are you thinking? John smiles. I'll tell you, but first, I need to see you do something. She blinks. What is it? An urgent meeting. Visitors from our Rio de Janeiro office just arrived early, and the interpreter canceled at the last minute. Will you help me? Emily holds his eyes for a beat, then gives a small, crooked smile. Portuguese? Sure. They both stand and step out. Emily's shoes make a soft sound on the wood floor. The hallway feels brighter, while inside she flickers between nerves and curiosity. John pushes open the door. 4 Brazilian visitors sit with their eyes on their phones. She draws a deep breath. When Emily offers the first greeting in Portuguese, precise down to each sound, every phone lowers. Shocked eyes turn toward her, as if the room has just uncovered a buried treasure. Phones drop almost in unison, and stunned eyes turn toward Emily. She stands tall, hands relaxed, gaze steady, as if her whole life led to this moment. Her Portuguese flows, each sentence friendly, yet formal. Minutes ago, the visitors from Rio sat silent, shoulders tight. Now they smile, nod, and trade lively remarks. John watches from the end of the table. He can't catch every word, but he sees the shift in their bodies, hands resting lightly on the table instead of crossed arms, eyes up instead of glued to screens. Most of all, trust is now in the room, something you can't buy with contracts or a marketing budget. One Brazilian guest cracks a joke. Emily laughs and tosses back a light, clever line. Laughter rolls around the room, melting the invisible ice. She isn't just interpreting. She's building a bridge that makes everyone feel they belong. 20 minutes later, the meeting wraps up. A visitor steps up to John and says in English, "She's the best we've worked with this year. Where did you find her?" John glances at Emily, who's gathering cups like nothing extraordinary happened. "Right here," he says. Out in the hall, Emily can't hide a small smile, but when her eyes meet John's, joy mixes with a flicker of doubt. "I only helped a little," she says. "Nothing big." "That's not how I see it," John replies. They ride the elevator together. When the doors open on the service floor, Emily returns to work and picks up her mop like she never left. Still, John can't shake the image. All afternoon, through revenue reports and investor calls, he hears her voice. He hears the years she stood between 2 choices: pay the rent or feed a dream. At 5 sharp, John leaves the 30th floor. Instead of heading for his car, he rides down to the service level. He wants to see where she works each night. The hallway is narrow, fluorescent lights casting a cold glare. White walls have gone dull, marked by cartwheels and long scratches. He finds Emily stacking folded cleaning cloths on a steel shelf, movements quick and neat. She looks up at his footsteps. "You came down here?" "I can't stop thinking about our talk this morning," John says with a small smile, "and about what you did in that meeting." Emily wipes her hands on her apron and leans lightly against the rack. "What are you looking for from me?" "Not looking, recognizing," he says, meeting her eyes. "This company spends hundreds of thousands to hunt for talent outside. Sometimes the gold is in our backyard." Emily is quiet for a beat. Then she exhales. Gold still needs to be found before it gets buried. They hold each other's gaze. John knows it's time to speak about the offer he's carried since morning. Softly, he says, "Tomorrow I want you on the executive floor again, not to chat, to hear a proposal." What kind of proposal? The kind that could change your life. Emily stands still in the small room, the vent fan humming overhead. She looks at the mop in her hand, then at the door he just walked through. One question echoes in her mind. Am I ready? Emily stands still, the vent fan droning like a whispered warning, while John's footsteps fade into the dim hallway. The mop in her hand turns suddenly heavy, an iron anchor pulling her back to the life she knows. 13 years of being a shadow, scrubbing floors, stacking towels, changing trash bags in the dark. But John's words keep echoing, sharp as a blade. An offer that could change your life. That night, she cleans faster than ever. Back in her small apartment south of Seattle, she makes tea and sits by the window. Rain drums on the neighbor's tin roof, urgent as a marching beat. She looks at the stack of language books on the table, their spines silvered under the weak lamp. I kept my promise to Mom, she thinks. But is this the turn where I finally rise, or a dream ready to crack? The next morning, Emily arrives early. The burgundy uniform still fits close, but her hair is wound tight and her shoes shine like a quiet dare. John waits by the elevator, unhurried. He nods. Ready? I think so. The doors open on the executive floor, but John doesn't lead her to his office. He takes her straight to the large conference room with a plaque on the door. Everline, Rio de Janeiro briefing. Today is a trial by fire, he murmurs. No one knows why you're here. Just do what you did before. Inside, the pressure sits heavy, like air before a storm. 4 representatives from Rio are already seated, faces stern. Thick binders cover the table. Market charts glow across the screen. Their lead whispers something in Portuguese. Emily steps forward, smiles, and her voice flows smoothly. Bom dia. É prazer conhecê-los pessoalmente. Good morning. It's a pleasure to meet you in person. All 4 heads snap up, startled. The weight in their eyes dissolves into sharp attention. Emily doesn't just relay John's words. She reshapes them, adding Brazilian nuance, making every point feel close and alive. The room flips, smiles bloom, questions pour out, things that crawled through email now move freely in the air. She listens, nods, and drops in a touch of gentle humor that draws easy laughter, cracking the stiff shell. John sits in the corner, fingers laced, watching like a director on a make-or-break scene. He knows this isn't luck. It's a real skill, language, culture, and the power to connect. The kind that could steady his entire company. When the meeting ends, the team lead rises and grips Emily's hand. A senhora é incrível. Não trabalhamos com ninguém melhor este ano. You're incredible. We haven't worked with anyone better this year. Emily answers simply. Obrigada. É tudo sobre compreensão e respeito. Thank you. It's all about understanding and respect. Out in the hall, John falls in step beside her. You just untied a 3-month knot. I only interpreted, Emily says softly. Number U built trust. Paper can't buy that. At the elevator, John folds his arms, eyes steady. Now I'm sure. Yesterday's offer. I want you to take a new role. It doesn't exist at Everline. Emily studies him, conflict spinning in her mind. Why me? And what does it change? Tomorrow I'll tell you everything. Trust me. You've been ready for a long time. As the doors close, Emily catches her reflection in the steel. Not an unnamed janitor, but a lead character at the threshold, between a safe past and a risky future, and one choice left: step through or turn back. The elevator doors close with a soft ding, leaving Emily's reflection in the steel. Her eyes are deep, her chin slightly raised, as if asking herself, do I step through or stay with what's safe? The car glides down. The faint grind of gears blends with her racing heartbeat. The small space turns tight, like it's pressing her tangled thoughts into place. Hours ago, she was a night shift janitor, quietly mopping Everline's dark hallways. Now John Griffin's promise hangs like an open door to a world she never dared to picture. When the doors slide open on the service floor, the familiar chill rushes in. The air smells of cleaner. A cart squeaks somewhere down the hall. Emily steps out, legs suddenly heavy. She pulls on her worn rubber gloves, grabs the mop, and returns to the half-finished job. Her motions aren't mechanical anymore. They are slow, thoughtful. As she wipes a streak of water from the marble, she wonders, am I truly ready? Or is this one more dream that breaks? The invisible years rise, long nights learning languages with borrowed library books, bills that buried hope. But today feels different. A thin line of hope glows, turning each pass of the mop into a quiet push forward. Near midnight, when her shift ends, she walks into the empty parking lot under flickering neon. Seattle is strangely still, just the distant sound of the water. She's surprised to see John leaning against his car door, hands in his pockets. His charcoal suit looks easier under the streetlights. His face shows patience, like he's been here a while. "Why are you standing out here?" she asks, half joking to hide her surprise. "Waiting for you," John says, opening the passenger door of a black SUV. "Hop in. I want to show you something." Emily hesitates a second, then climbs in. The cabin is warm, with a faint mix of coffee and leather. They leave downtown and follow the road along Puget Sound. A thin breeze slips through a cracked window, carrying the salt of the bay. Lights of the city fade behind them. Tall pines and the soft rush of waves take over. In under 20 minutes, they stop at a low, modern building. A new glass sign gleams in the moonlight. John cuts the engine and points. "This is Everline's new training conference space, but I don't want it to be just another room. I want it to be the start of something bigger." Emily follows him inside. The room is expansive but not finished. Pale wood floors reflect the warm overhead lights. A vast world map fills one wall, bright lines tracing Everline's routes, from Seattle to Rio, from Tunisia to Shanghai. The air smells like fresh lumber and paint. On a simple table sits a small metal nameplate on a stand, not yet mounted. The engraving is crisp. Emily Monroe, Cultural Liaison, International Affairs. Emily freezes, her heart thudding. She looks up at John, her voice unsteady. "You've already decided?" "I told you," he says. "This role has never existed at Everline. The first person to hold it is you." She lets out a soft laugh, caught between wonder and doubt. Tears slip down before she notices. "I don't have a degree. I've never sat at an executive table. I'm just a janitor. You know that." John cuts in, firm but warm. "You have what school can't teach: life experience, endurance, and a way of connecting people I haven't seen in anyone here. You don't only speak languages, you understand cultures and build trust. That's what Everline needs to grow worldwide." Emily looks at the plate again. Her fingertip traces the letters, as if they're pressing into her skin. Each stroke feels like proof she's no longer a shadow in dark corridors. She remembers those long nights when her daughter, Ava, now a nurse in San Diego, was little, and she whispered Arabic vocabulary while mopping floors. Quiet sacrifice, dreams buried under bills. Tonight, it finally feels answered. "If I accept, some people will push back," she says, slow and practical. "I know," John replies. "They'll say you didn't follow the usual track. Results will quiet them." Silence settles. Outside, waves tap the rock breakwater, steady as a sleeping city's pulse. Emily sets the plate back on the table and stands straight. Her voice is stronger now. I'll accept, with one condition. John lifts an eyebrow. What condition? I won't be the only exception. If I can do this, others like me get seen too. People are overlooked because of their uniform or where they come from. John smiles and nods without hesitation. Deal. We'll build a program to find and lift hidden talent. They leave the building for a city deep in the night. But inside Emily, a different light switches on. Hope paired with responsibility. The next morning, an internal email goes out at Everline. Subject line: Appointment, Cultural Liaison, International Affairs. The body is brief, noting a new role to support global operations. But the name Emily Monroe appears on screens everywhere, from the service level to the executive floor. Reactions ripple like an undercurrent. Warm congrats from friends downstairs who shared night shifts. Break room chatter, from janitor to leadership. For real? And the low murmur of doubt in hallway corners from people married to the old system. Emily steps into her new office, small but warm. A walnut desk, a green plant on the windowsill facing a busy Seattle street. She sets her old mop in the corner, a quiet reminder of where she started. Sitting at the desk, she opens her laptop, nerves mixing with excitement. What do I do first? How do I prove it? A knock comes, gentle but firm. A man in a crisp white shirt enters, thick file in hand. His eyes are cool, his smile paper-thin. Luca Moreno, Director of International Operations, the name she's heard tied to skepticism and the old way. I'm Luca Moreno, he says evenly. I hear, you'll be assisting us? Emily lifts her head and keeps her gaze calm, steady, as if she's trained for this moment. That's right, and I hope you're ready to work together. The air tightens. Luca sits across from her and drops the file with a soft thud, like a challenge. Emily draws a breath. She knows the real journey starts now, the rough water where she must prove her worth, not with promises, but with results. Emily lifts her eyes from the screen, calm and steady, like a rock in fast water. Luca Moreno stands in her doorway, crisp white shirt and glossy silk tie, carrying himself like an interrogator, not a colleague. She knows his reputation from service floor whispers. Director of International Operations, wary of anything off the standard process, especially sudden changes like her appointment. That's right, Emily says, voice even and sure. And I hope you're ready to work together. Luca tilts his head, a thin smile that never reaches his cold blue eyes. He sets a thick file on her desk. Paper thumps against wood, quiet but final, like an unspoken challenge. The stack is heavy with dense pages, charts, and notes in several languages, proof of Everline's tangled global projects. Materials from Italy, a partner contract in Dubai, backlog reports from Rio, he says, smooth but edged. All due this week. Think you can handle it? Emily doesn't look away from that measuring gaze, the one that scans her like an unqualified finalist. She stands, takes the file, and flips the first pages. Right away, a Dubai clause stops her. A delivery deadline got mistranslated. Fixed deadline turned into flexible deadline. That error could cost hundreds of thousands, maybe the relationship itself. She closes the file and answers, steady but not sharp. This section needs a correction now. If not, they'll have grounds to pull the deal. And yes, I can handle it. Luca freezes for a breath. Surprise flickers, then the usual chill returns. Good. I'll review the results by week's end. He turns and leaves, a faint line of expensive cologne trailing behind him, a reminder of two different worlds, the suits upstairs and the night shifts below. Emily sits, hands on the heavy file. It weighs more than paper. It holds expectations and tests. Keyboards clatter in nearby rooms. Phones ring. Inside, she feels a clean, quiet focus. John's words return. Results will quiet them. This is the moment to prove it. She opens her laptop and works through each document, fixing the mistakes with the fluency honed in 1,000 sleepless nights. Italian, Arabic, Portuguese. They flow from her fingertips like a familiar river. News of her appointment spreads through Everline like dry grass catching a spark. In a lower floor pantry, two marketing staff eat lunch and whisper over sandwiches. "I've got a master's in international business and still no promotion," the blonde says, envy threading her voice. "Last week she was mopping floors. How does someone jump like that?" The other nods, eyes darting as if words could be overheard. Those lines, meant to be small, still reach Emily in the hall. She doesn't respond. She adds another line to her task list. Deeper down, they sting like pinpricks. A reminder this path is about talent and about pushing through bias. That afternoon, Emily steps into a signing meeting with the Italian partner, and the whispers fall away. The room is large, the wood table long, the screen bright. Tension hums like a tight string. 3 Italian reps in sharp black suits hold the contract and frown hard. "Clause 14 doesn't match the version we agreed to," the team lead says in Italian, laced with English. Everline's team tries to explain in English, but the gap widens. Hands gesture, phrases repeat. The air gets heavier. Emily, sitting at the end, listens to every word and watches every cue. Then she steps in, fluent Italian, warm but professional. "I'm sorry. This clause carried over from a prior draft by mistake. Here is the corrected version that matches the original agreement. We'll make sure this doesn't happen again." The Italian lead looks up, eyes bright with surprise and relief. They murmur among themselves, then nod. The cloud lifts like fog in the sun. The rest of the terms move smoothly, with Emily bridging each point and adding small cultural notes that build trust. At the head of the table, John watches and allows himself a quiet smile. He knows moments like this are reshaping how people see Emily, from a lucky janitor to a professional with real skill. Not everyone will accept the change. That evening, after most people had gone home, Emily was still on the 12th floor finishing the Rio report. Her desk lamp pools warm light across the pages. The office is still, save for the whisper of turning paper and a soft wind at the window. The door swings open without a knock. A platinum-haired woman in a sharply cut suit steps in with unmistakable authority. "Emily Monroe?" Her voice is calm and direct. "Yes." Emily keeps her eyes on the file, then looks up. "I'm Eleanor Bishop, Board of Directors." She comes closer, both hands on the desk edge, red lacquer nails catching the light. "We need to talk." Emily closes the file, gaze steady, though her heartbeat ticks faster. "About what, Ms. Bishop?" "About why someone without a college degree and management experience is sitting in a role many people spend careers trying to reach. Do you believe you deserve it?" A small smile touches Emily's mouth. Eleanor doesn't know, or has forgotten, that years ago, when Emily applied for a junior translator spot at Everline, the rejection letter carried Eleanor's signature. Insufficient professional experience. That line pushed her into night shifts and years of invisibility. Now Emily doesn't need a speech. She slides the corrected Dubai contract across the desk. "You can review this," she says. "We saved the Dubai deal by fixing a translation error. As for why I'm here, maybe ask yourself, Ms. Bishop, Your rejection taught me a hard truth. Sometimes the long way around reaches the top faster. Emily looks up from the Dubai file, a quiet smile at the corner of her mouth. Her eyes stay calm and steady, practiced for silent storms. Eleanor Bishop stands at the desk, arms crossed, her silver-gray suit cut to project power. Black heels tap a crisp beat on the glossy wood floor, sharp in the small room. The air feels tight, though rain still patters over Seattle outside the window. You want to know why I'm sitting here? Emily asks. Her voice is even. She sets down her pen and braces both hands on the desk. Eleanor lifts her chin, drawing herself taller, leaning on rank as much as height. She's a long-time Everline board member, a woman who climbed through tense meetings, million-dollar deals, and a network no one bothers to challenge. She isn't here to congratulate. She's here to probe. I want to know what makes you think you deserve this role, Eleanor says, her voice cold and precise, like a blade through the air. A week ago, you were holding a mop on the service floor. You understand the reaction that causes, don't you? The company is buzzing. People with degrees and years of experience feel insulted. Emily doesn't flinch. She has prepared for this moment across many nights, wiping halls and hearing senior staff swap stories they believed no one heard. She draws a breath and remembers her road, an apartment outside Toledo, a promise to her mother, library books worn thin. All of it forged a woman who won't bow, but will stand. I understand, Emily says, each word clear as a line carved in quiet air. But this role wasn't given to me for a diploma or time in a corner office. It's for results, and results don't care where you started. Eleanor's brows lift higher, her tell when an argument slips the script. Results? What exactly are we talking about? Emily nods and doesn't blink. She opens a drawer and pulls out a printed stack, corrected contracts and partner emails. In 3 days, I fixed 2 mistranslated agreements and kept us from more than $400,000 in penalties. I also untangled the Rio deal, which was stalled for 3 months over language and culture gaps. Our Brazil partners didn't just sign, they sent a thank you note. I didn't need a title to do that. I needed a chance. And now I'm proving that chance wasn't wasted. Silence holds for a long beat. Eleanor's sharp gaze stays on Emily, searching for a crack. She has signed countless personnel decisions, turned down hundreds of files, including Emily's years ago when she applied as a junior translator. Insufficient professional experience. The line circles back like a ghost. Still, Eleanor isn't one to admit a mistake. So you think Everline should run on instinct and improvisation? She asks, a trace of irony testing the edge. Emily tilts her head, a faint smile rising. No, ma'am. I think we should run on outcomes. And if those outcomes come from someone who mopped floors, stood 12 hours a day to raise a daughter, and taught herself 9 languages with old books and radio, that doesn't make them worth less. It makes them steadier, because I know the price of every opportunity. For a flicker, Eleanor's eyes shift, not convinced, but surprised by the clean force of the answer. She closes the folder. The covers click softly in the quiet room. You're a gamble, she says, less harsh now, distance still in place. And gambles don't always pay. Emily's smile holds. My whole life has been a gamble, leaving school to care for my mother, raising a child alone without complaint, keeping the fire for language alive through long night shifts. And I'm still winning, one day at a time. Eleanor leaves without another word. Her firm steps echo down the dark hall. The door clicks shut, and Emily stands still for a few seconds. Then she lets her shoulders drop and pulls a deep breath through the tension. Her heart is fast, but not from fear. Adrenaline after a fight won. She knows this is only the start. Eleanor won't let it go. She will watch and test again. Emily is ready. She sits, opens the Dubai file, and allows the lamp to spill over the pages. The thin lenses of her glasses catch the light, turning her eyes into two steady points. Outside, rain veils Seattle. Gold light from the towers draws long trails across the water of Puget Sound. Emily hears her mother's words from that hospital room. Don't let anyone say you can't, just because you started low. Prove it with action. The line burns like a torch, cutting through headwinds from jealous peers and cautious leaders. The next morning, Emily arrives with a hot coffee in hand. A small note is pinned to the whiteboard outside her door. 3 simple words, in black ink. We see you. No name, no explanation. Warmth rises in her chest, a quiet push from others who were overlooked. Maybe Marcus Hale, her old night shift supervisor. Maybe Anne Pham, the shy intern she once encouraged. Whoever it is, the change is spreading. All morning, colleagues appear at her door, a stream she's never seen before. A sales rep asks her to review an email to a Japanese client, worried about cultural tone. A logistics engineer wants guidance on a report for Tunisia, concerned about language errors. Each time Emily listens, edits, and adds small, real-world tips. Don't just translate the words, translate the intent, she tells a young associate, who smiles and nods. The work doesn't just fix problems, it builds a bridge, turning Emily from the outsider into a partner. At lunch, just as she opens a sandwich from the lobby cafe, John Griffin steps in with 2 hot coffees. He leans on the doorframe, that familiar weathered smile in place. I hear Eleanor visited last night, John says, handing her a cup. She called me a gamble, Emily answers, watching a rare patch of Seattle sun push through gray clouds. Good. Means you've got their attention. Here, if you're not making waves, you're standing still. And you, Emily, are making big ones. She smiles but lets the moment pass without more words. The waves are here. She'll learn to ride them, not get pulled under. John leaves after a short chat, and energy hums through her again. She glances at the note, "We see you," and feels a new current moving. The desk phone rings as his footsteps fade. A North African number flashes on the screen. She answers. A voice opens in precise Arabic. "We need you immediately." Emily's pulse kicks. Tunisia, the North Africa bottleneck that has dragged on for months. She draws a steady breath, shifts into Arabic, and steps into the next fight. "We need you immediately." The Arabic voice on the phone is clear and urgent, still polite in the North African way, as if holding a storm behind it. Emily straightens in her chair. The pen in her hand stops mid-note over the Dubai file. Her small office on Everline's 12th floor feels suddenly still. Only the rain taps at the window, steady with her breathing. She's been waiting for this call. The Tunisia project is one of the year's tightest knots, and now it's calling her name. "What's the issue?" she answers in Arabic, gentle but firm, like someone used to standing inside language and culture crises. The man, local project lead, speaks fast. Everline's expansion in Tunisia is at a standstill. The management meeting has gone taut as a wire. Dry, rigid translations in documents and emails made the Tunisian side feel dismissed, reduced to numbers on a spreadsheet instead of true partners. They're asking to meet someone who understands their language and culture. If not, the deal collapses. We could lose millions. Emily sets down the pen and takes a steadying breath. It's almost 2 p.m. in Seattle. In Tunisia, it's late at night. Time won't wait. "I'm joining now. Prepare the video room. Send me the latest files." 10 minutes later, she steps into the large conference room on the 14th floor. The main screen is already linked to Tunisia. The air is thick, like invisible fog. On one side of the screen sit the Tunisian partners in dark suits, faces lined beneath fluorescent light, tired, disappointed. On Everline's side, a few mid-level managers whisper, glancing at the clock, afraid that a misunderstanding will sink everything. Emily enters like a fresh current, carrying the quiet confidence born of hidden years. She doesn't sit first. She moves to the table, adjusts the camera so her face is clear. Instead of opening in English, she gives a slight bow and begins in warm, precise Arabic. Assalamu alaikum. يشرفني أن أكون هنا اليوم. Peace be upon you. I'm honored to be here today. The effect is almost instant. Faces soften, eyes lift with curiosity and relief. A Tunisian leader nods and offers the first smile of the meeting. Emily adds a few short lines of small talk, asks about their recent travel, mentions couscous and harissa, then threads gently to business. Those small details aren't just polite, they're a bridge, proof she's not an outsider. When the meeting turns formal, she refuses to translate mechanically. She reshapes phrasing to respect hospitality and face. Not you must follow a strict schedule, but let's align so everything runs smoothly and honors our shared interests. Not we can't meet the extra request, but we'll find a better fit so both sides feel satisfied. Each choice is deliberate, an artist softening rough strokes into a balanced canvas. In 30 minutes, the room changes. Smiles appear more often, voices warm, questions come with cooperation instead of a challenge. One Tunisian leader nods toward Emily, a quiet acknowledgement. You made us feel truly heard. John Griffin stands in the corner, arms folded, silent. He watches her turn the tide, every word, glance, and nod, pulling stitch by stitch through a fabric that was ready to tear. A CEO from a working-class start, he sees himself in Emily, overlooked, then bright when given space. As the session closes, the Tunisian lead moves closer to the camera, a hand over his heart, a traditional sign of thanks, and says in Arabic, "No one has done this for us, in our language, with such respect. The deal will continue, because of you." Emily smiles and answers simply, "You deserve to be heard. We'll build success together." That afternoon, John sends a short, company-wide note. Tunisia project restarted, thanks to Emily Monroe. No flourish, no emojis, just a line that moves through the building like an undercurrent. From service levels to the executive floor, people whisper about the woman who saved North Africa with language. Skepticism now shares space with respect. The next day, Emily heads to the training wing and stops at the doorway. The old plaque has been replaced. Monroe Room, gold letters cut deep into walnut, no banner, no flowers. A quiet change that still sends a warm shock through her chest. It isn't just honor. It's a reminder that a path from janitor to leader can spark others to rise. A young employee steps out and whispers to a coworker. She reminded everyone that greatness doesn't always wear a suit. Sometimes it wears a janitor's uniform and still changes the world. Late afternoon, back in her office, a white envelope waits on her desk. Inside is a handwritten note, the script shaky but sincere. "I thought I'd be forgotten forever. Today I stood a little straighter because of you. Thank you, no name. Emily knows. Maybe an intern like Infam, perhaps a service worker from an old night shift." She folds the note and places it in the top drawer beside her worn notebooks. It's worth more than gold. It's proof she's turning invisible people into hidden stars. She's just closed the drawer when the desk phone rings, cutting the quiet. The operator babbles, a hint of worry in her voice. "Emily, Eleanor Bishop wants to see you. right now, and not in her office this time. Emily draws a long breath and feels a new wave rising. Eleanor, the same force who questioned her, now wants a private meeting, invitation or test. She stands, smooths her jacket, and walks out to meet it. Emily sets the handset down and feels a chill along her spine, as if someone whispered a warning in her ear. Eleanor Bishop wants to meet, and not in her office. In Everline's world, invitations like that rarely mean something easy. They often signal a careful cross-examination, a quiet threat, or an attempt to steer her back to the safe place Eleanor thinks she belongs. Emily looks out at the Seattle rain, smearing the streetlights into hazy ribbons. She breathes deep, straightens her jacket, and reminds herself, "I've weathered worse." 30 minutes later, Emily pushes into a small cafe tucked along an old Seattle side street. It's calm inside, amber light falling over worn oak tables. Fresh roast mingles with a soft hint of cinnamon from warm pastries. The room feels timeless, a pocket of stillness in a rushing city. Eleanor sits in the far corner, back straight as a statue, gray blazer tailored close. She sips an espresso and watches Emily approach, eyes tracking every step and every pull of the chair. "Please sit," Eleanor says, pointing to the opposite seat. Her voice is even and spare, like reading a balance sheet. Emily sits without speaking. For a few seconds, only the espresso machine hums, and the low murmur of other customers moves in the air. She orders a simple latte and keeps her face neutral while thoughts turn. A threat? A deal? "I've watched you since John put you in this role," Eleanor begins. The edge is gone from her voice, though it's still sharp enough to command attention. She sets down the cup and taps the table once. "To be fair, you've shown this wasn't impulsive. Tunisia proved it. We nearly lost North Africa to small cultural misfires, and you turned it in one meeting. I admit, not everyone can do that." "Thank you," Emily says, a slight tilt of her head. "I did what needed doing." Eleanor touches the rim of her cup, then meets Emily's eyes, as if reading her mind. "But I'm not here to praise you. I want to ask what you plan to do with the influence you now have. Don't deny it. People in that building are watching you, not just for 9 languages or saved contracts, but because you're living proof that someone overlooked can rise. That's a kind of power, Emily, and power must be used wisely." Emily lets the words sink in. Eleanor has spotted what even Emily is only beginning to feel. Each step she takes now sends a ripple down the halls. Service staff whisper her name with hope. Middle managers watch with curiosity and envy. She's no longer the janitor who speaks languages. She's become a sign of change. "I want to find people like I used to be," Emily says, her voice steady, the idea sounding older than the moment. People are good at what they do, hidden under a uniform or behind a low desk. They have skills and passion, but no one sees them. I want to give them a chance to shine. Eleanor's brow lifts, the move she makes when ideas drift off the standard path. "It sounds like a nice communications slogan. Do you have a real plan? Everline isn't a charity. We need measurable results." Emily leans in, eyes bright with purpose. "I do. An internal program. I want to call it Hidden Voices. It will offer skill workshops, free language training, and, most importantly, a bridge so employees in any role can demonstrate their skills. We start with internal interviews, where people share hidden skills, then link them to real projects. A warehouse employee who speaks Spanish could support South America. An IT intern with East Asian cultural knowledge could help us expand in China. This isn't about charity. It's how Everline taps the gold in our backyard." Silence stretches, long enough for the latte to cool. long enough for doubt to nibble. Then Eleanor nods once, a careful investor weighing risk. If you can deliver, I'll support it. But remember, light casts shadows. When you lift someone, others may feel pushed down. Not everyone likes change. Emily doesn't blink. I'm used to being underestimated. I won't let that stop me from opening doors. If the shadows come, I'll face them. Weeks later, Hidden Voices launches. A plain company-wide email announces it. Programmed to identify and develop talent at all levels, initiated by Emily Monroe, co-created by John Griffin. Emily asked John to lend his name so the program would carry weight. He agreed immediately. He sees culture shifting here. On day one, the Monroe room is packed. The energy is different, lively, expectant. A security guard in dusty boots from an early shift. A kitchen worker with the day's aromas on an apron. An IT intern with an old laptop. A warehouse hand with calloused palms. Emily stands before the world map, sunlight washing her face, and her smile is warm. She opens with her own story. No polish, no hiding the complex parts. I stood where you stand, mopping nights, changing bags, wondering if anyone saw me beyond the uniform. My voice got overlooked. If John hadn't paused in the lobby that day, I might still be on the service level. I'm here to tell you, talent doesn't wear a uniform. Hidden Voices is how we wake it up. Training ends with the basics in language and communication. A shy intern steps forward, and Fam from IT, voice trembling, eyes bright. How did you learn so many languages? I'm afraid I won't stick with it. Emily smiles and rests a hand on his shoulder. One word a day, then a sentence, then a page. Before you know it, the world opens. Start today, Anne. I'll help you. Hidden Voices spreads like groundwater through the building. People start sharing hidden skills. A security guard who speaks Swahili joins an African project. A night cashier translates Italian material for sales. The culture shifts. Curiosity replaces indifference. Respect replaces bias. Quick coffee chats become idea exchanges. At the center, Emily mentors one person at a time, turning fear into step-by-step plans. One late afternoon, John steps into the Monroe room and finds Emily coaching Anne through a harsh German word. He nails it and laughs. Emily claps once, delighted. John leans on the doorframe, arms folded, smiling. You know, Emily, he says, we've opened something I've never seen at Everline. Not training, team building in the truest sense. Emily turns, eyes alight, voice grounded. And this is only the start. We're about to see real gold. Wake up. The desk phone rings in the corner. A staffer hands Emily the receiver. There's an invitation for you from the Global Logistics Leadership Conference in Denver. Emily takes the call. Her heart lifts. It's an invitation she never dreamed of, a larger stage where her story can travel even farther. Emily sets the phone on her desk and holds it a beat longer, as if catching the moment before it slips away. The voice still echoes, warm, formal, carrying the weight of an unexpected invitation. We'd like you to speak at the Global Logistics Leadership Conference in Denver. The topic is overlooked talent and how to unlock it. She pauses. Memories rush in. Nights alone on Everline's service floors. The smell of bleach in every fold of her shirt. The vacuum drowning out her thoughts. The quiet of dark halls. Now that stacks against the image of a hall filled with sharp suits and leaders from around the world. Can she stand on that stage and tell her story without shaking? I'll be there, Emily says, steady, like a promise to herself, to her mother, and to everyone who was overlooked. The days race by. Work at the office, mentoring for Hidden Voices, and a few short notes for the talk. No full script. She knows the story has to come from the heart, not the page. She flies into Denver on a cool morning. The sky is a clean blue, the snowy Rockies peeking in the distance, a reminder of quiet strength, of nature and people. The convention center is vast, marble echoing with the sound of heels and easy laughter. Hundreds of leaders, investors, and logistics experts from Europe, Asia, and South America gather. Voices flow like a stream: English, Spanish, Mandarin. When the host announces, Emily Monroe, Cultural Liaison, International Affairs, Everline Logistics, polite applause rises. She knows some clap only from courtesy. Many are likely asking, what can a 52-year-old woman of color, once a janitor, say to the titans of global logistics? Emily steps on stage with no note cards, no expensive suit, just a simple blouse, black slacks, and a confident smile. Warm lights wash her face, the lines telling years of work. She stands center stage, draws a deep breath, lets the room settle, then begins. I was never only a janitor. I was a linguistics student at Kent State. I was a daughter caring for a mother with cancer. I was a single mom raising Ava, who's now a nurse in San Diego. I taught myself 9 languages with borrowed library books and an old radio. And for more than 13 years, I worked the night shift at Everline Logistics, cleaning the floors where many of you hold meetings. She lets the words sit. The room quiets, people imagining the path. Her voice stays low, every word carrying weight. I'm fluent in 9 languages, from Mandarin to Arabic, from Portuguese to Swahili. Through those years, no one asked me the simple question, what can you do? They saw a uniform and decided the answer was nothing much, not worth seeing. A man in the front row leans forward, forgetting his notes. Emily continues. How John Griffin happened to hear her in the lobby. How emergency meetings with Rio and Tunisia turned when language and cultural respect entered the room. Contracts nearly lost because one fractured phrase makes a partner feel small, and how everything changes when people connect for real. In Tunisia, we didn't just sign a contract, we built trust. And trust began with speaking their language, with the respect they deserve. Then she turns to Hidden Voices, the program she and John built, and the spark behind Everline's culture shift. From short coffee chats, we launched a program to find and lift talent that's been ignored. An intern like Ann Pham, once shy with English, now supports our Asia work. A warehouse employee who speaks Swahili helps us grow in Africa. Guards, kitchen staff, interns, they're contributing to a global win. Talent doesn't wear a uniform. Intelligence doesn't ask permission. If you make decisions, don't just look outside, look in your backyard. The gold might be right there, waiting. She closes her eyes in the front row of executives. If you've been underestimated, keep going. The right people will see you, and when they do, don't just take your seat. Bring a few extra chairs. Real justice isn't climbing alone, it's pulling others up with you. Silence holds for one long beat as the words sink in. Then the applause breaks. Loud, real, rising with whistles and nods. Emily walks off stage, knees still soft with adrenaline, heart full. This wasn't a talk, it was a pledge, for everyone who's ever been missed. In the hallway, a young man stops her. He's about 30, in a gray suit, eyes wet. My mom is a janitor at another logistics company. She speaks 5 languages. No one ever asked. I used to feel embarrassed telling my friends. Emily rests a hand on his shoulder, her voice warm. Never be ashamed of where you come from. The only shame is closing your eyes to excellence. Tell her story, and if you can, give her a chance, like I was given. He nods, lips pressed to hold back tears, then hugs her quickly and steps away. Emily leaves the center and steps into Denver's gold sun, head higher than ever. It feels like she hasn't only shifted her own life, but touched hundreds more. She slides into an airport cab when her phone buzzes. John Griffin's number lights the screen. A short text appears. "We need to talk." A new opportunity, this time at a global level. Emily smiles and looks out the window as the snowy peaks recede. Her journey isn't over. It's turning a page into something bigger. Emily sets the phone on her desk and holds it a beat longer, as if catching the moment before it slips away. The voice still echoes, warm, formal, carrying the weight of an unexpected invitation. "We'd like you to speak at the Global Logistics Leadership Conference in Denver. The topic is overlooked talent and how to unlock it." She pauses. Memories rush in. Nights alone on Everline's service floors, the smell of bleach in every fold of her shirt, the vacuum drowning out her thoughts, the quiet of dark halls. Now that stacks against the image of a hall filled with sharp suits and leaders from around the world. Can she stand on that stage and tell her story without shaking? "I'll be there," Emily says, steady, like a promise to herself, to her mother, and to everyone who was overlooked. The days race by, work at the office, mentoring for hidden voices, and a few short notes for the talk. No full script. She knows the story has to come from the heart, not the page. She flies into Denver on a cool morning. The sky is a clean blue, the snowy Rockies peeking in the distance, a reminder of quiet strength, of nature and people. The convention center is vast, marble echoing with the sound of heels and easy laughter. Hundreds of leaders, investors, and logistics experts from Europe, Asia, and South America gather. Voices flow like a stream, English, Spanish, Mandarin. When the host announces, "Emily Monroe, Cultural Liaison, International Affairs, Everline Logistics," polite applause rises. She knows some clap only from courtesy. Many are likely asking, what can a 52-year-old woman of color, once a janitor, say to the titans of global logistics? Emily steps on stage with no note cards, no expensive suit, just a simple blouse, black slacks, and a confident smile. Warm lights wash her face, the lines telling years of work. She stands center stage, draws a deep breath, lets the room settle, then begins. "I was never only a janitor. I was a linguistics student at Kent State. I was a daughter caring for a mother with cancer. I was a single mom raising Ava, who's now a nurse in San Diego. I taught myself 9 languages with borrowed library books and an old radio. And for more than 13 years, I worked the night shift at Everline Logistics, cleaning the floors where many of you hold meetings." She lets the words sit. The room quiets, people imagining the path. Her voice stays low, every word carrying weight. "I'm fluent in 9 languages, from Mandarin to Arabic, from Portuguese to Swahili. Through those years, no one asked me the simple question, 'What can you do?' They saw a uniform and decided the answer was nothing much, not worth seeing." A man in the front row leans forward, forgetting his notes. Emily continues, how John Griffin happened to hear her in the lobby, how emergency meetings with Rio and Tunisia turned when language and cultural respect entered the room. Contracts nearly lost because one fractured phrase makes a partner feel small, and how everything changes when people connect for real. In Tunisia, we didn't just sign a contract, we built trust. And trust began with speaking their language, with the respect they deserve. Then she turns to Hidden Voices, the program she and John built, and the spark behind Everline's culture shift. From short coffee chats, we launched a program to find and lift talent that's been ignored. An intern like Anfam, once shy with English, now supports our Asia work. A warehouse employee who speaks Swahili helps us grow in Africa. Guards, kitchen staff, interns, they're contributing to a global win. Talent doesn't wear a uniform. Intelligence doesn't ask permission. If you make decisions, don't just look outside. Look in your backyard. The gold might be right there, waiting. She closes her eyes in the front row of executives. If you've been underestimated, keep going. The right people will see you. And when they do, don't just take your seat. Bring a few extra chairs. Real justice isn't climbing alone. It's pulling others up with you. Silence holds for one long beat as the words sink in. Then the applause breaks, loud, real, rising with whistles and nods. Emily walks off stage, knees still soft with adrenaline, heart full. This wasn't a talk, it was a pledge, for everyone who's ever been missed. In the hallway, a young man stops her. He's about 30, in a gray suit, eyes wet. My mom is a janitor at another logistics company. She speaks 5 languages. No one ever asked. I used to feel embarrassed telling my friends. Emily rests a hand on his shoulder, her voice warm. Never be ashamed of where you come from. The only shame is closing your eyes to excellence. Tell her story. And if you can, give her a chance, like I was given. He nods, lips pressed to hold back tears, then hugs her quickly and steps away. Emily leaves the center and steps into Denver's gold sun, head higher than ever. It feels like she hasn't only shifted her own life, but touched hundreds more. She slides into an airport cab when her phone buzzes. John Griffin's number lights the screen. A short text appears. We need to talk. A new opportunity, this time at a global level. Emily smiles and looks out the window as the snowy peaks recede. Her journey isn't over. It's turning a page into something bigger. Emily sits in the airport cab, John Griffin's text still glowing on her screen. We need to talk. A new opportunity, this time at a global level. She looks out the window. Denver's sunset runs gold across the towers, throwing long reflections down the streets. Cool mountain air slips through a cracked window, carrying damp earth and scattered autumn leaves. In that moment, she knows this won't be a routine chat. It's a turn in the road, a call to step beyond the safety of Seattle, where she walked from shadow into light. Her heart beats faster, not from fear, but from excitement mixed with memory. The path from night shift janitor to changemaker is opening to the world. The next morning, her plane drops into familiar gray skies. A mist greets her like the port city's hello. Emily enters Everline Logistics with steady steps, the echo of Denver still warm inside her, hands clapping, faces moved. She knows now her story isn't only hers, it's a torch for thousands. John waits in the large conference room, the one she never dreamed of entering months ago. Fresh coffee lingers in the air. Light pours across a glossy walnut table. On it sits a thick binder stamped in crisp type. Global Cultural Integration Initiative. John stands when she arrives, a warm smile on his weathered face. He's not a cold CEO. He was once underestimated too, and that's why he sees himself in her. Emily, your Denver talk opened a door I never expected. Major logistics groups in Europe and Asia, from Maersk to DHL, want to partner with Everline, not just for freight, but for multicultural training. They see Hidden Voices as a model that could change the global industry. He slides the binder to her, voice calm but charged. Emily opens it and scans pages packed with plans, training workshops, staff exchanges, projects that weave culture into the supply chain. City names flicker. Amsterdam's old canals, neon bright Singapore, ocean winds in Cape Town, tango in Buenos Aires. Her pulse lifts, excitement braided with worry. I'd have to leave Seattle for months, she murmurs. John nods, eyes serious. Yes, it'll be tiring. Some inside will push back. Too risky, they'll say. But it's a chance to change the game not just for Everline, but for thousands of people overlooked around the world. Imagine hidden voices beyond Seattle, into Asia, where local staff are skipped because of language, into Europe, where diversity still reads like a slogan. You'll lead it, Emily. You'll carry your story, and theirs, out into the world. Emily steps to the window and looks down at the busy street. Seattle's rain turns the pavement into slender streams of light. She retraces each step, long nights mopping the 10th floor, the squeak of a cart and the sting of cleaner on skin. That first lobby moment when John heard her Mandarin. Luca Moreno's skeptical eyes over a test file. Eleanor Bishop's stern questioning in a dim office. Tunisia saved in Arabic, tension shifting into trust. And the launch of Hidden Voices, where she watched Anfam, shy intern, smile after nailing a harsh German word. Every small, painful step led here. She sees the one reason she's in this room. She didn't quit when no one believed. Not luck, endurance. 9 languages learned from old books and radio. A promise kept to her mother in a hospital room. Ava raised to self-sufficiency in San Diego. All of it converges now, turning a once-hidden woman into someone who carries light. She turns back, meeting John's gaze. I accept. Her voice doesn't shake. It lands like a vow. John smiles, not the victory grin of a CEO, but the smile of someone who watched a seed grow into a storm-tested tree. Good, he says. We start tomorrow. I'll build the support team, and Eleanor's on board. She sees the potential. That evening, Emily returns to her small apartment in South Seattle, the place that held her hardest years. A simple room, shelves of frayed dictionaries, a photo of Ava smiling brightly. She makes hot tea and sits at the kitchen table, thinking about what's next. From a drawer, she takes the anonymous note sent after Tunisia. I thought I'd be forgotten forever. Today I stood a little straighter, because of you. The shaky lines remind her this isn't just her path. It's a fire passed on. She folds the note and tucks it into an old suitcase. Alongside clothes and essentials, she packs the worn notebook where she logged vocabulary through long nights, and her scuffed badge. Emily Monroe, Cultural Liaison, International Affairs. Small keepsakes, reminders of where she began. Before lights out, she faces the mirror. She no longer sees a hidden woman with tied-back curls and tired eyes after a shift. She sees a leader, steady gaze, confident smile. I'm ready, she whispers. At Seattle-Tacoma the next morning, the jetway fills with morning light. Emily steps into her new journey with a deep conviction. Justice isn't only reclaiming what was taken, it's giving chances to those who never had one. She isn't the Emily of the invisible years anymore. She carries the stories of thousands of of service staff, of workers overlooked around the world, so the world can't look away. The plane lifts. Seattle falls behind, and a vast horizon opens where anything can change. And she knows tomorrow's final truth. No one stays invisible if we dare to look closer. Seattle is in a fine drizzle. The Everline logistics lobby gleams like a cracked mirror. Amid the quick click of heels, a 52-year-old janitor switches languages like turning a radio dial. Mandarin for a lost visitor, Spanish for a delivery driver, French for a supplier. Smooth, confident, almost native. CEO John Griffin stops mid-thought. From that moment, doors swing open. Her precise Portuguese saved an urgent meeting in Rio. A tense deal in Tunisia eases with a respectful Arabic greeting. Soon, a new nameplate shines. Emily Monroe, Cultural Liaison. Inside the Monroe room, long-ignored voices wake through the Hidden Voices program. Why would someone fluent in 9 languages spend 13 years under a uniform? What pushed an entire company to change? John's working-class drive, or a hard truth exposed by an old rejection letter signed by Eleanor Bishop? This isn't just a promotion story. It's a wake-up call about consequences. When you sow respect, you earn trust. Look closer, and the real gold is often already within us. It's a journey against bias, a bid to reclaim dignity, and a reminder that kindness can pivot an entire system. Stay with us to discover how.